Welcome in, I'm Artress, and in this video we're going to be going over an old but gold leader with Whitebeard, a 6-life leader from OP02, yes, all the way back from OP02. And to be quite honest, I feel like he's actually a decent leader right now for the meta that we're in. Despite the fact that we are seeing quite a lot of Shanks being played, I think Edward Newgate is a pretty solid leader overall, based off of the fact that he is a 6,000 power leader, the first of his kind back in the time when he was really in his heyday. He was a menace to deal with. Nowadays, he's a lot easier to deal with. However, he is very strong with a certain amount of rush units that you can add into the deck. If you're unfamiliar with Newgate, he is a very interesting leader in the fact that it says end of your turn, add one card from the top of your life area to your hand. So every turn you are gaining cards from both your life. You're also drawing as well. Sure, you're going down in life size, and of course you're going to hit 0 really fast. But of course, being a 6,000 power leader, you can defend a lot of swings towards the end game pretty easily, therefore making him, I think, a very interesting pick to take into the OP10 meta with the bans in place. Before we go over the deck list though, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to drop a sub, and if you enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps out the channel so much. Thank you all for the support. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support I get. Additionally, if you'd like to talk about the One Piece card game outside of the YouTube comments, please make sure to join the Discord. The link for that is in the description below. So very simply, we are running a Straw Hat engine with Newgate. We are not running the Whitebeard Pirates package because that is a little bit too slow. The way that we're running and operating this deck is we are trying to get as many rush units that are in the 5-cost area, maybe a little bit higher, 7 or 8 with like Dragon or Ace, but mostly we're trying to get out our 5-cost Ace, our 5-cost Luffy, and find 2k counters and like protection spells along the way. So with all that in mind, we are running 4 Otama. It is not searchable, it's not a Straw Hat, but it is a great 2k that can help you reduce the power of something along the way. So if you do need to trade into a body, you can. Typically, you're not going to want to swing into bodies. What you're trying to do is be as aggressive as possible, swinging into the opponent's life, forcing them to have like 2ks in their hand, so you're 2k checking them the entire game. And if you do need to take back the board, you do have cards to do that, but mostly you are looking to swing face. One of these cards that helps you get started with finding your pieces is the 1-cost Nami Searcher that looks at the top 5 cards and finds a Straw Hat crew type other than Nami and puts it in your hand. So it can be an event counter, it can be 2ks, it can be characters. So you have a whole multitude of things you can search out. In general, you're going to try to mulligan for this card to be able to find your pieces, unless of course you do have your pieces in your opening hand. I'm running 2 of the 7-cost Ace. This is just a really solid card to be able to trade into the board for those moments where you actually do need to get rid of a threat on the opponent's side of the field. When it hits the field on play, give up to 2 of your opponent's characters minus 3,000 power during this turn. Then if your leader has the Whitebeard Pirates type, this character gains Rush. So if you're going against Blackbeard, keep this in mind that it does not have Rush automatically built in. So if they do use their leader ability to negate on-play effects, this Ace kind of just is null and void at that point. So you're playing a 7-cost, 7,000 power body, not swinging with it. In every other matchup, this is a rush unit, so, and it's a great one as well to be able to trade into things, especially in a meta when like you see Kid, 8-cost Kid, come down and tap sideways. This Ace can help equalize the playing field by reducing the Kid's power and then swinging into it at a 7 to 5. Another one of our top end pieces, I say top end because we're not running too many, but one of the top end pieces we are running is the 8-cost Dragon. Just a very solid stat line all around. 8-cost, 9,000 power, put 2 Rested Dawn on a leader or character, and it has Rush. What more can you ask for? And especially in a deck where you're trying to be as aggressive as possible, Dragon is a great card for that. Now, where I'm being a little bit spicy here is I'm running 2 of the 10-cost Gold D Roger. It's an alternate win condition in case you can't get across the finish line with just the characters you have. It has Rush, and then it says when your opponent activates Blocker, if you or your opponent have 0 life, you win the game. Obviously, with your leader ability happening every turn, you get to 0 really fast. And so if you can drop this down safely, I suggest doing it because you can just threaten the game at that point in time if they want to use a blocker at any point in the game after that point when he drops down. So I think 10-cost Goldie Roger, for me, I like to run it as a one of in most of my red decks, if not all of my red decks. But in Newgate, it makes sense to run 2 of because it's not searchable, but it is an alternate win con that you can hit pretty easily because of the leader ability. Next, I'm running the 3-cost Sanji from OP10. This is actually an excellent card for this deck to be able to play down on curve because it swings the following turn for 6,000 power. So naturally swinging into Shanks, forcing them to use their leader ability plus a 1k. That's very nice. And on the flip side, when an opponent tries to attack into it, you don't defend this thing at all. In most scenarios, a smart player will attack into the Newgate's board, forcing them to drop cards from their hand. However, when a player swings into the Sanji, you're not forcing cards out of the Newgate's hand because, of course, they're gaining gaining another card on the KO from the Sanji going down. So that's why Sanji is a very good card in this deck, but it's mostly going to be a great card to play down on curve. Because it doesn't have rush, it's not necessarily a great card to see late, but if you do see it within the first like 3 to 5 dawn, I would suggest playing it down, and then you can follow up with some rush units after that. Also from OP10, we're running 4 of the Tony Chopper blocker. It's searchable and it's a blocker. It's a pretty powerful card as well. The fact that it is plus 2,000 power on the opponent's turn, so making it more difficult for the opponent to remove in case they do have like power-based removal. So that is a little bit harder for this Chopper to be removed. Of course, 2K is great, blocker's great, so you have the best of both worlds with this card. And if we have one of the Chopper blockers, why not have a playset of the other Chopper blockers? It's just a very solid 1-cost blocker. Oftentimes, you are very limited on your plays with what you can do per turn because you are playing usually 1 body a turn and then passing, leaving Dawn open for counter events. But this Chopper allows you to have a play like maybe on 6 where you drop a 5-cost body, then you play a Chopper down for 1, and then you're protected. I think what we're seeing in this meta is a shift to more cheaper blockers, and so as a result, I think Chopper makes sense at a 4 of here. Yeah, it is a brick, but I think if you can play this down against a deck that doesn't have great removal in the early game, or if you're going against a deck that has great removal in the late game, you can throw it down, multiple of them, and then have the opponent try to get past it. So it is a nuisance, it is very cheap, and as a result, I like it a lot. Next, I'm running 4 of the Ace from Starter Deck 15. This is one of the best cards that Newgate could have gotten. Its stat line is all right. It's a 5-cost, 6,000 power body. So basically the same thing as your leader. It has, if your leader has the Whitebeard Pirate's type included in its types, this character gains rush. A lot of different decks have been running this in the past, like Shanks has been running this, and you don't get the rush with it, but you do get the rush within Newgate. And on top of that, the other effect, which is really important here, once per turn, if this character would be removed from play by one of your opponent's effects, doesn't matter if it's bottom decking, trashing, KOing, whatever that is, if it's removed from play, you may give this character minus 2,000 power for the turn, keeping it on the field and making it something that your opponent might want to swing into, giving you the opportunity to protect it further. We're running 4 of the new Sanji 2K from Starter Deck 21. It says on play, choose up 20 of your Straw Hat type characters with the power of 6,000 or more. During this turn, your opponent may not activate blocker when that character attacks. So this is like a pseudo Jambe, but also acts as a 2K counter. So very nice for those reasons. We have a couple of targets that we can put this on. The most important one, of course, being this 5-cost Luffy from the Starter Deck 21. One of the best cards to come out into the meta for some time, especially for red, because of just the efficiency of this card. You hit the field for 5, it's a 6K swing, and then you put a Rusted Dawn on a character or leader, so you get the extra boost there. Typically what I'll end up doing is if I see a perfect curve, I'll go 1 Nami, on 3 I'll play the Sanji, this one right here, then on 5 I'll play this Luffy, but before I play this Luffy, I'll swing 6 with Sanji, 6 with leader, and then swing 7 with this Luffy, and that's a really big amount of pressure coming towards your opponent that they're likely going to have to counter out of. Like I said, you're constantly 2K checking them with this deck, and of course, when a 7K comes to them, they're likely going to take it. Then it wouldn't be a Newgate deck if we were not running a playset of Rad Beams. This has been in the deck since pretty much day 1. It's a 1-cost, 4,000 power counter event if you were at 2 or less life, which guess what? You're going to be there real fast. So this is really online most of the time. And then, of course, we're running 0-cost event, where 3 of them where we can pitch out some of the dead cards we may need. Both of these have triggers to like either reduce the power of a leader or character on the opponent's side, but this one has a plus 1,000 power, so you do have opportunities to have these trigger out of life. Typically, I'm just going to hold on to them unless, of course, I'm about to die. Then I might need to use the trigger here. This event doesn't have a trigger, the Divine Departure, but we're running 2 of it because of the fact that it has the opportunity to do a couple things, either protect the leader or be able to be a pseudo removal in case there's a kid that hits the field and they don't have a way to protect it with either a 2-cost Rosinante or a Tashigi. You can answer it with this Divine Departure. It answers other things that are 8,000 power or less, so the flexibility there is really nice. Otherwise, you might want to run like the Guard Point, which is very similar, except it can protect characters. But Divine Departure, because of the flexibility, we are running that instead. And then finally, to round it out, we are running 2 of the Gum Gum Mulgun, one of the better pieces of removal for red to come out of Starter Deck 21. It's a main, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 5,000 power during this turn. Then if you have a character with 6,000 power or more, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a power of 2,000 or less. The main reason you're running this is for the green matchup. So if you do go against a kid, an 8-drop kid comes down, you can play this to reduce the 8-cost kid to 3,000 power and then pop the Rosinante blocker that's assumably there in place. So this is the reason why you're running this. And I have it at 2 because I like to see it. Sometimes it's a dead card. You might want to switch it down to just 1 because you can search it out with a Nami and it's only for certain matchups. But I do like it as a 2 of because of the fact that if you draw into it naturally, it's fine. If you have the trigger come out of life, it's actually pretty sick because it's minus 5,000 power to a character. So that is like a half of a Red Hawk, I suppose, because Red Hawk's minus 10,000 power with the trigger. So it's a pretty good effect overall. And I really do think that this deck has some legs in this meta. I don't think it's necessarily a tier 1 deck. I don't think it's going to be winning any tournaments, at least anytime soon. But I think this could be an interesting pick to take to a tournament and potentially do well with, in the sense that there are going to be quite a lot of Blackbeards. Whitebeard kind of just does well into Blackbeard in general, which is very funny because of the lore. And then on top of that, you have a lot of rush units, which Blackbeard kind of just folds to, so that's really nice to see. The other thing here is that you do have an okay spread into Shanks. I think if Shanks is very protective of his life and plays a bunch of blockers, then you might have some issues there, but you can squeak out wins because of the fact that you're just constantly swinging at them for 6, both with the bodies on the field and also your leader. I think some of your tougher matchups are going to be any blue because, of course, they could be running pudding. So if you go against a blue deck like Doflamingo or Boa, obviously you're going to try to counter out as much as possible where you can so that you're not going to be puddinged. But those are tough matchups, of course, and things that can lock you down like Bonney might be an issue as well. But I think overall, it has a pretty decent matchup spread. You play very aggressively. And to be quite honest, I take a lot of life with this deck. So if you're looking for a deck where you're like playing more slowly and you're trying to play out 9-cost Newgate, or at least a style of this is not what this deck is. This is beat face, go fast, take as many hits as possible, defend the bodies on the field, and then hopefully you come out with a win because of that. I think it's a pretty solid deck, but let's take it into the sim and see how it does. Yamato is low-key scary, but I do like this opening hand because of the fact that we have a couple of chopper blockers. And yes, Yamato runs a lot of things to rest blockers, but I think we should be okay with double chopper blocker, unless, of course, they go Hody Jones, but that's not until later in the game. The reason I think Yamato is a little bit, I guess, like scary at times is because they could just hit you really hard, and they also have the chance to banish, but I think we're okay because of the chopper blocker setup this early. We'll just swing 7, establish another chopper blocker, and then pass the turn, leaving 1 open, just kind of bluffing for anything. We do have a Rad Beam, but we're not going to use it this early. And then the next turn, what we can end up doing is we can just swing 6 at lead and then play down the 5-cost Luffy and swing 7. I like Luffy better here because of the fact that Ace allows some flexibility with it because it's a 1k counter. So let's just swing 6, see what they do. This Kiku Nojo is going to be a pain. We don't ever really want to swing into it because it just heals Yamato. So it's going to be quite annoying, of course. And good to see that they have the 2k out of the life, or out of hand, rather. And then they just block the other one with the Shirahoshi. That's pretty good. Usually, most opponents will try. Nowadays, they kind of like figured out the Whitebeard matchup. What you need to do is swing into bodies. So hopefully with these choppers, we can protect this Luffy. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. They're playing it right. You need to swing into the bodies on board. Because I'm losing life every turn anyway, I think that the units I have on the board are more important than me losing life. So I'm going to go ahead and protect it, play down the ace. Because the ace is, like, I suppose, less important overall. Here's a really strong turn where we can go 7-7-7 and have the chopper blocker ready. So I think that's pretty good. Hopefully they don't have any KO triggers. I think that'd be the worst thing we could see right now. But they do have something, I suppose. They're contemplating a trigger. Okay, they didn't use it. We'll swing 7 again and then give the Rested Dawn to our leader and then swing another 7 to lead. Pretty interesting. They just took them all. Okay, so they might be bricked up here. I don't think there's a way for them to really pressure game at this point. And they're going to have to be very careful because they have to heal themselves if that's the case. Because all they have is a Shirahoshi and actually the Sanji. That I can put on one of the Luffys and then just bypass the Shirahoshi blocker. But it depends on if we can get past there. Okay, so they use Straw Sword. Oh, wow. Straw Sword, Electrical Luna. All right. Here I think we just take because if we defend this, we're going to have to take the other 2 anyway. So good inclusion into the deck. We'll go and counter a 1 out of here, and then we'll go a 1 and 2, I think is fine. We could also just use Rad Beam. I think this is like where we kind of go for game. They have been taking the 7s, which makes me think that they don't have a lot of counter left. So we'll go ahead and swing 6. It might be better to swing 7 here, but we'll go ahead and get another 2k if we can, which we did. We'll go ahead and play the Sanji out, give the Luffy unblockable, and then we'll stack all on and swing 9 into 5. And either they baited us well, or they just don't have counter. So we'll see what they have here. 2k, 1k, 1k. Okay, well, they were short on counter. Very interesting deck list. I think the fact that they were running the Shanks might be a good inclusion into Yamato, but I think that we just applied so much pressure that it was hard for them to really come back at any point. Red Sanji is also in a pretty solid spot for this meta to kind of like take some people by surprise. Just because of the fact that it has a great Blackbeard matchup makes it, I guess, like contender worthy. But they also decided here in this matchup to go first, which is really good for them. Because I actually like to go first with my Newgate build because of the fact that you have a good 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 curve. But going second, you aren't as aggressive. So kind of sucks, but they'll swing 8. We'll go ahead and take it, and then we'll swing 6 here. They take it, and then we'll play a chopper and pass. This next turn, we can actually go ahead and be really aggressive with what we do here. We can go 7 lead and then play out the 5-cost Luffy, swing at it, and then use the Luffy ability to pump it up to 7 as well. So a couple of 7s at Sanji is pretty good. They might counter out of 1 and then take the other one. I would imagine that's what they're going to do because I don't think they want to go down to 2 life that early. They're just swinging really big here, 9 to 6. I'm going to take these because I think using the blockers later on might be more important. So we'll swing 7, as I said. We do have aces, but if we ever have ace or Luffy, I always will play out the Luffy instead because you get more value from it. And also on top of that, because ace has a counter, you can also just use it as a counter later on, so that's nice. So if you do have one or the other as options, usually just take the ace if you can. Okay, so they're running more of a control variant, which I actually like this version of Sanji. So where they give like Nico Robin rush and they can KO units along the way. That's pretty cool. Swing 7 into my 6. Easy 2k counter here. I think we'll just give them one of the Sanji Jambe's 2k counter there. And then we can give them an ace if they swing 6 into it as well. They just go 6 life. I think because we're going to be losing this life next turn anyway, it's fine to go ahead and just like take the life. So we'll go ahead and actually get a really nice trigger there to KO the Robin. We didn't need to, but it's one less swing at the Robin just in case they have like a power reduction on the Sanji or the Chopper. The artwork always confuses me because I see Sanji and it's obviously Chopper. So, okay, so they have a mulligan of their own. We're going to go ahead and just swing anyway just to get the extra Rested Dawn onto my leader. That was pretty good there. The minus 5,000 prevented an attack. 2k, 1k, and they're going to stay at 2 life here. What do we have to worry about? Eventually we're gonna have to worry about Roger because I think they run Roger in the deck. We have a blocker up. We need to find some counter events if possible. They could also be running Jambe of their own because they are a Straw Hat leader. So that could be something there, but if they go Jambe and then they just like swing all in, I think we have enough to defend ourselves. But they also have a fair amount of cards as well. Ooh, this is what it's looking like. Okay, yeah. They stack 8 on, leave 1 open. I'm used to that from Zoro. Okay, so we'll just give them a bunch of 2Ks. We can't survive another Jambe, so if they have another one, they kind of just win. So I think our best bet is just to hit them for a bunch of 7s here. You could also go and do different math, but I think 7, 7, 7, whatever's fine. They might... We'll see what they have. If they take one of these 7s, then that means we can just go all in like 9 on one of the others, so... Hit them with another 7, see if they have it. They don't, so we're just going to go 9 here, and... Oh, they just instantly left. They just instantly left out of the game. Okay, well, we had it look like, so GG to them. Sugar is going to be actually a very hard matchup for us in the fact that they just have a lot of counter power, a lot of ways to protect themselves, and then they can ramp up to big bodies pretty fast. They should be running 10-cost Shanks, and that is actually going to be a problem for us because it shrinks our characters down so they don't hit as hard. And of course, they are going first, as they probably should. I think most decks should be going first against Newgate. I think for me, even though in the past I think second was probably better overall, I think going first is just preferred for me nowadays. We're playing out this Nami just to see if we can get a 3-cost Sanji. We don't, so we'll go ahead and swing 8, which is kind of risky because they have a lot of things that go +4, and it could ramp them up, but I think you just should swing at Sugar regardless. There's like a strategy where people say don't swing, but if you're Newgate, you're always swinging. Just swing. Don't play around it. We play up the Chopper, and then we get a Mulgun off of life, which I suppose that could be good later on, but probably useless in this matchup. So hopefully we get a 0-cost event so we can pitch it. For 5, usually they don't have to... Okay, so I was going to say they don't have anything except for like Rosie, but it looks like they're not even playing Rosie because they just swing with their lead. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I am taking as many hits as possible. Like, I'm not really countering out of life because if I go down to 0, I go down to 0, right? I will protect myself once I get there, but along the way, if you want to hit me, I'm just going to take the hits. I'm not playing the 9-cost Newgate to stop my life, so there's no reason for me to prevent anything from happening. 7 into 5 is pretty easy for them to counter out of, probably with like a 2-cost counter event. So we'll see if they have it or if they want to use it here. The good thing about Newgate is that he's actually pretty strong against 4-life leaders. So even though Sugar is going to be kind of a interesting matchup for us because of the fact that they have a lot of counter power, they are at 4-life. So we do pressure them pretty hard. So yeah, 7-7. Very a strong turn for us. And it's going to be quite the nuisance for them to have to deal with this Luffy, considering it's hiding behind a chopper. Plus also I have a lot of counter power in hand. I'm looking at 11 cards in hand right now. So yeah, we're pretty good here. Okay, so they use their Searcher, Sugar, to find a Senor Pink, so they're probably going to be able to get back the 1-cost counter event, because I think Senor Pink, like, minuses a Dawn to get a purple event back or something along those lines. What's going to be hard for us is the sequence of swings, because usually Sugar also runs, like, Noro Beam Sword, I think is what it's called, where it's a plus 2k counter event and then arrests one of your opponent's characters. So we have to properly sequence some of these swings, but it's going to look a little weird. Because like what I want to do is swing my Nami into the Sugar, but if they are running Beam Sword, then they can just counter out of it and then rest either the Chopper or the Luffy. So we need to swing at face first and then use the Nami as like a follow-up. We do have a Dragon, which is a great card to be able to play on 8, because we're going to be able to swing 7, 8, 9. And that's going to be... I would imagine they're probably going to be able to counter out of 2 of these attacks and then probably take the 9 from Dragon. And because we have a Roger in hand, that means we're going to be very close to actually preventing or presenting lethal in a way that they probably won't expect. I mean, they should expect it, but they probably won't. So I think here they're probably just trying to figure out like what's the best like way to counter out of this. Okay, so it could be, they're minusing Dawn, which might be Hell's Judgment, or it could be Beam Sword. So Hell's Judgment it is. That's actually a really good card against Newgate here. So it is minus 3,000 to 2 units. And then they're going to go Kamakura Jasushi, which is not actual translation here, but they do it to reduce my Dragon? Interesting. So we'll swing 2 at the Sugar, it goes down. We'll swing 5 at lead. They don't have too many counters in hand, usually. Okay, so they give us a blocker. That's really good. And they'll go 7 at 5. This one they'll likely take. They'll pass turn. I think we're looking pretty good here. They don't really run anything to, like, get past blockers. Like, the only removal that Sugar really runs is... I think it's like God Thread. So if they're running God Thread, they're spending 5 Dawn to get rid of a 1-cost blocker. So that's... I mean, I'll take that any day. 6 at lead. This could be a 10-cost Shanks if they're just swinging flat like that. All right, 5 and a 2. We'll take that. That kind of signals that they have the 10-cost Shanks coming down. So we'll just be able to snap block that one. If they go face, if they go body, then yeah, we're just blocking it no matter what. Here we're in a little bit of an interesting position to be in because of the fact that I think Ace might be the best option for us to use, because we can at least like trade into the Baby 5 or Senor Pink rather. Baby 5. We'll swing 8 just to see what they do first. We know they have a Blast Breath, so let's see if we can get it out of their hand first. And they do use it. That's good for us. And then what we can do here is, I'm not like super confident in trying to go all in on Sugar, because I think that's where people go wrong. Is they're like, oh, she has 4 cards left in hand. What can I, like, she might have another Blast Breath, right? So here, we're just going to go ahead and try to trade into this body, 6 into 3. And then what we can do is we can probably, like, swing... The math is a little bit off because of the Shanks, unfortunately. So we'll just swing what we can and see what we get out of them. I don't expect any of these hits to go through, like, actually. So we'll see if we can do this. 7... Might want to swing the Luffy instead. We'll see what they do. If they counter out of this one, then I think what we can end up doing... Okay, so they give us a 2 and a 1. That's really good here. I'm just going to swing a 6 into lead, because of the fact that they gave me a 2 and a 1. I could have swung 7, I suppose. So they go and they use the counter event, which searches, I think, the top 5 for a Don Quixote Pirates type card. And I guess the follow-up plan here is just to put out a Chopper. So they get a 2k counter. They might just use it here. Yeah, that's fine. We'll put out the chopper, and then we'll pass. We'll leave one open to kind of bluff for the rad beam, because if we tap out, then they can probably math it a lot easier. And here, if we leave one open, it's a lot harder for them to figure out, do they have a counter event? Of course, I don't have one, but they don't know that, so that's good for us. And I think they might have to block her up this next turn, so if they do, it's a pretty good opportunity for us to play Roger. Yeah, I think that might be one of their plays. The other play they could do, I guess they could go like God Thread, get rid of the chopper, swing 10, swing 12. 10, 12, would that get through? 2, 3, 8, 10. Actually, it would. It would. God Thread would get through if they had it, but they might not have it. We'll go ahead and snap block because of the fact we can defend out of a 15k attack from Sugar if they decide to throw it our way. But this is where like sometimes Whitebeards will get wins in. I remember back in like OPO2, OPO3, OPO4 even, where like Newgate was really powerful. You would basically like force the opponent to make a really tough decision. Like, do they go for game here, or do they play it a little bit safer? Here we're actually going to protect our Luffy because of the fact that this card is pretty good, and will get us an extra Dawn if we play out a Roger. So yeah, they didn't take the bait. Pretty smart. Ooh, they do play a blocker though. Let's go. Love to see it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and play out a Roger. We'll swing 5 at lead. Give the rested Dawn to my leader. They could potentially like counter out of something here. Obviously 5 to 5 is pretty easy, but we're asking for the only card out of their hand. No, there isn't a world, is there? So Beam Sword, they do have it. That was the one-of card. So they can't on-KO the Viola because of the fact that she's a blocker and they have to use it to get the on-KO. So it means they automatically lose the game because I'm at 0 life. So I suppose we'll just see what they have here. 6 is going to connect, of course, because they don't have anything else in hand. 7 at lead. Yeah, they could have... they didn't have anything. They just blocked, and that's fine because of the fact that Roger's on the field. It's just an instant win at some points. Like, that's why Roger's in the deck. All right, against Blackbeard, I actually really like this hand. We're going first. It has a really good curve. We play the chopper down despite the fact that they could play Doc Q. However, a lot of Blackbeard Decklist have started to remove Doc Q in replace of, I think it's the 4-cost Shiryu to be able to KO a, what is it, 3-cost? It's an activate main KO at 3-cost. So that's pretty good. Here, we take the risk of them running... Oh, they do have the Shiryu. Okay, we actually like that over Black Hole because Black Hole means that we don't get the draw off of the Sanji. But that's totally fine here. Okay, so normally... I think I mentioned that I would usually play out a Luffy if I have the chance, if I have Ace or Luffy. But here in this matchup, Ace is actually probably slightly better because of the fact that it is impervious to removal for at least like one removal piece. So that's nice. The fact that they have to use a... What is it called? Finger Gun? The 4-cost event that KOs a 5-cost. Then you would minus 2,000 to this. Okay, so they are running Doc Q. They are running the Doc Q. You'd minus 4,000, or sorry, minus 2,000 to the Ace, and then they could swing into it again, but they're not going to do that. Doc Q is kind of annoying because it means we can't establish a chopper here on out. So they go 6 at lead, 7 at lead. I mean, we'll take that. We're happy to take those. Obviously, we'll counter out of one of them because that means the next turn, if we do take that 2 hits in a turn, we go down to 0. And I'm not ready to protect my life quite yet on that level. We'll go ahead and swing. I kind of miss-swung here, but I think we could just go ahead and be okay with swinging a 6. I want to leave one open just in case they go like really ham this turn because of the fact that there's always potential they could. And I think I could be able to protect myself just fine, but better safe than sorry on some regards, especially if they start going for face, or I mean, sorry, start going for the bodies. I think that's more important here. They just want to pressure face, and I guess I respect it, but I think that going for my bodies is going to be guaranteeing cards out of my hand for a couple of those swings that they had earlier. What we can end up doing here is actually play out the 5-cost Luffy and just have a board full of 5-cost and swing a bunch of 7s at them. It's going to be super annoying. We could also, I mean... Well, they're black holing us, so we can't actually play out the Sanji, so that's kind of annoying. We'll swing 6 at lead. Once again, kind of mismathing it. Fun. We'll swing 7 at lead, and we'll swing 7 again. They'll block this one. And then we'll pass the turn. There's really no way for them to get through here because I have 3 counter events that are 1 cost. And we also have the Roger we can throw down. Yeah, I think they realized that they had 2 cards in hand. There was not much they could do. They couldn't swing at life because of the fact that their leader and Shiryu were 5k. And they only had 2 cards, so they can't mathematically get out of 3 swings. All right, against Smoker, I would love to take first, and oh my gosh, this is like the perfect opening hand here. We have a Nami into a Sanji into a Luffy. We are going to be eating good here. There's a couple of different variations of Smoker, of course, where they have more of a rush package. They've been building more of a Straw Hat build. And I've also, obviously, the one that's stood the test of time so far for them, and test of time only being a couple of weeks, is the 8-cost Kid package where they're like playing a little bit more defensively. I think that version's slightly better, but I do think that the Straw Hat version is very potent, and if they see their curve, it is scary. But here, I think that we are going to be able to just keep hammering in at face every turn, and it's going to be very hard for Smoker to keep up with that. They typically will want to be like Bonney in the fact that they take life so that they can play an 8-cost Kid if they're using the 8-cost Kid, but not too scared of it. Okay, so we'll take the life. They leave 1 open, which could be interesting. Might be a Rad Beam if that's the case, or Divine Departure. I would really highly doubt that they... I mean, who knows? Maybe they will. Maybe they'll use it. They take the 6. Okay, so they do have Rad Beam. Interesting choice to use it there. I don't think it's wrong. I just think that kind of signifies that they might not have a lot in hand. It's kind of bad for them if that's the case. This next turn, what we can end up doing is we can go, assuming the Sanji lives, which I doubt it will. They usually swing into the Sanji. We can go like 6 with Sanji, 6 with lead. Okay, yeah, it goes down. They didn't have to go that hard at it. In fact, I'm glad that they did. I'm assuming that they're doing that because of the fact that they have a 6k body on the board and they can use their leader ability, of course. But Baccarat being a blocker, which... it's like pitching a card from hand, and then your leader gets plus 2,000 power, activate main once per turn. Pretty strong overall. Here, they're just kind of going to go wide. We do have a Mulgun for if they do play out the Kid, so we'll hold on to that for now. And I think what we can end up doing is just play out the Ace, swing 6. We'll swing 6 with lead. We could also swing 7 with lead. But I think what we want to do this turn is establish a Chopper. And also the Rad Beam. I'm looking at my hand right now. I'm thinking like, yeah, that's probably our best bet. We'll go 6, 6, 7. They give us a 0-cost event. Wow. That is... yeah, they are bricked up. We're just going to ignore the Sanji. We don't care about the Sanji. Here, I would imagine they just used the Baccarat. Okay, so they gave us a 5-cost Luffy for the Baccarat effect. 0-cost for... so they are running the rush variant here. We're just like outpacing them, which is awesome. This is really good to see here. We'll go 7 to lead. Hopefully they just take it, right? If they just take it, then that means what we can do is we can just go and play Sanji the following turn. If our Luffy survives, oh my gosh, I love to see it. All right, we'll play the Chopper down. Do they have a counter? So they're holding on to something, so it might be a Mulgun. That might be like the only thing that really has counter. Well, they do have like the 2-cost event, but I think Mulgun could be the counter if they're running more of the aggressive variation. Hody Jones, all right. Hody Jones, I respect it. It's pretty solid here. Rest the blocker also closes out my opportunity to play Rad Beam. They'll go 6 into 7. We will take this one if they go 6 at... like, we protect our bodies at all costs, but we are going to take this life for sure. They'll restand the Dawn, and then... I mean, they're kind of in a weird spot where they could swing 8 again, but I have counter for it. So we're pretty much guaranteed to survive. We'll go 2, 1. So plus 3. They'll go 6 at lead. We'll give them another 1k. And then if I were them, I'd swing the Zoro at the Chopper just to clear the Chopper. But I don't think it really matters. Yeah, they didn't have enough counter on the crackback anyway. And we were just going to go and play Sanji on the Luffy and then bypass the blocker. So yeah, we just were outpacing them every step of the way. Awesome. I was hoping to go against the Shanks. We will take first. And I don't like that hand exactly. I think this hand is not really that much better, to be honest. We do have a Chopper into a Sanji. But to be honest, I don't think I want to play... okay, we could play this. We could have played the Chopper, but I think if they were holding up Rad Beam, or Red Hawk, then the Chopper would have been useless anyway. So we'll swing 6 at lead. They'll use leader effect and give us a 1k. We'll play out the Sanji and pass turn. kind of awkward. We don't have any rush units just yet. Hopefully we draw into them within the next turn or two. See what we get. For their 4-Dawn turn, there's just a couple of plays that they might have. They could swing really big, or they could play out a Lucky Roo. Lucky Roo it is. Okay, so we do get the Luffy, but the problem is we need to get this Lucky Roo off the field first. So let's try to bait it out by swinging 6 into lead. We want to like bait out this block the best that we can. They might not be taking the bait either. Yeah, it doesn't seem... I mean, they might take it here. They might take the bait here. No, they just take the life. Okay. Well, if that's the case, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm just going to play out the Sanji because I don't want to play out the Luffy just yet. If the Luffy hits the field, that's an easy block for them on the Lucky Roo, and then the Luffy goes down. We'll take that. We'll take the hit there, draw a card off of it. Luckily, Red has no answers to big hand sizes, so that's nice to see. Wow. Very interesting. They're just going to go 8, and I'll just take it. I'll just take it, of course. We'll go 6 at lead with the Sanji, seeing if we can get the Lucky Roo to block again. We'll go 7. Maybe they'll block. Please, just get this Lucky Roo out of the way. If they don't, then... Okay, so they don't. Unfortunately, it means we're going to have to just throw down the Luffy. Throwing the Luffy down pretty much means that it's going to die here, unfortunately. It is what it is. Then we'll play out a Chopper. Just go ahead and get it out onto the field. I don't know if that's the right time to play the Chopper, but we have 2 of them, so we're okay. It's not the worst thing to see. What could we be doing this next turn? So they go 5 into probably 3. Yeah, of course. They wouldn't go 5 to 6. And we'll take it. They play Newgate. Okay. They opt to not use the Newgate effect. I see. They might be wanting to keep it alive so that they can use the effect next turn on something. Whether it's the Chopper or what it may be. I don't know. They do take the 8. They take the 9. We have 1 open for a couple of different things here. 1 for Rad Beam. 1 for Divine Departure. Good to see here. They are going to be running on 10 Dawn here. So, okay, so they go Mulgun minus 5,000 and then KO the Chopper, which means they can use the Newgate effect to get rid of the dragon. Whew, okay. And then I'm just like left wide open here where they could just swing 11, but we'll have to do a Rad Beam plus a 2K. Pass the turn. Oh, we have a couple of Rogers. Okay, so this is where we only need 1, but we don't even need it right now. So we'll swing 8 at lead. We can swing... probably... Huh. What is our best bet? So they go minus 1,000, 2K, 2K, or 2K, 1K rather. We'll go 7 at lead, and we'll just leave open a Divine Departure, a Rad Beam, and then a couple of 2Ks. Will that get us across the finish line if they decide to go all in here? To be quite honest, I didn't math it out. So, I mean, it might. So if they go like 18... They just go 8. Okay, so we'll go ahead and use the Divine Departure. If they went 18 on the Newgate, would it be enough? Plus 4, plus 3. So 13, plus 2, 15. Yeah, actually, we would have been able to counter out of an 18k swing. Okay, so Dragon here. Interesting. They go 11. That's pretty good for us because we can give them a Rad Beam 2k. And if they decide to swing with the final 2 and go 7, maybe a little bit of a miss sequence, but I think it's all the same regardless. Here, I think we just divide it up evenly. We just go 11-11. They're going to use their leader ability on one of these. So it'll be 10-11. Probably the second one after they see the life. And we'll see if they have enough. Usually they run a lot of 2Ks, but they also run a lot of bricks. Okay, they were... Wow, they were really bricked up all the way. Wow, they had 1 0 cost event. Well, we got there. But, man, the control variant was pretty scary. All right, up against Usopp, this one's going to be annoying because of the fact that Usopp runs a lot of blockers, and that's going to be like a really big nightmare for us, having to get past all of these blockers, but we just have to be as aggressive as possible, and for me, just ignore their board and just go face every single turn, because if we go face, then they don't get to really use their leader ability unless, of course, they have blockers, so we'll just see what we can do as we go along. I don't think it's worth playing out a Chopper at this point because of the fact that they can just get rid of it with the Zoro next turn if they have it, so let's go ahead and swing 5 with the Nami, just stack all the Dawn on, and then we'll swing 6 with lead. The only downside to swinging with the Nami here is it gives them the opportunity to play a Cavendish this next turn and swing into the Nami and then draw 2 trash 1, kind of filter their hand. That's like a downside, of course, but I'd rather take that, I suppose. They do play a Frankie instead. We'd love to see it. We'll go 6 at lead. They might give us a 2K. And then we can go 7 at lead, and they'll probably block with the Frankie. There was an argument for, so that since they tossed a Barto 2K, there's an argument to go ahead and give the Rested Dawn to the Nami, so that when the Frankie blocks and probably brings out the Barto, you can swing the Nami into the Barto. Yeah, that might have been a smart play because now they have a blocker up for the next turn, but I think it's fine regardless. We just need to be hitting them hard no matter what, forcing them to use blockers, getting them out of the way regardless here. So, oh, okay, here's the Cavendish. If they go 8 into the Luffy, this is actually a really good time to do it because I am tapped out. So I do have to give them a 1K, 2K, and that's going to be very annoying because of the fact that next turn, if they have their good curve, which is the 7-cost Rebecca, then we will have to be forced to counter out of a Kairos swing, which is really a steep swing. We'll give them a 0-cost event in the meantime. Just kind of not giving them too much information. We'll give one rested or one active to the Luffy, swing 7, then give a rested to the other Luffy we just played, swing 7. They block, but they don't get the draw, which is very nice here. So that another 7 at face. Once again, we're just ignoring the Cavendish. We don't care about the bodies on the board. We're just trying to pressure face. And 7s against Usopp is perfect here. So we are almost pretty much prepared for a 7-cost Rebecca turn. Like if it goes like Rebecca into Kairos into whatever they want, we can get out of, yeah, see, we can get out of a Kairos swing at one of the Luffys. They might bounce the Luffy back, which I actually don't mind that. Extra protection, something for me to play next turn regardless, so pretty good for me. I suppose. Like, you could argue that it's a bad play on my part because of the fact that, oh, we have to play it again. It's not an extra body, but I don't mind. We're going to go ahead and protect this, give him a Rad Beam and a 1K, and then we'll give him another 1K here with the Ace, because we have a rush unit with the Luffy. It's fine. We'll counter out there, and then what we'll end up doing is just do the same exact play we had last turn, where we go 7 at lead, we'll play out the Luffy, and then we'll just give a Rested Dawn to the other Luffy and swing 7, 7, and then big. Oh, they gave up. They did not like that. They realized that they are in a lot of trouble, probably put them down to 0, and I think we might have been able to pull out a win from there. Bonney is kind of a cringe matchup for Newgate, not gonna lie. It's one of those where you have to kind of be aggressive, but of course they have ways to just lock down bodies, and then once they get to 10, it's like really annoying because of the fact that they just have so many big bodies that will stun you down. But I will go first. I think this is a fine hand. We'll play out the Nami. We'll grab a Sanji to play out this next turn. So then we can swing 6 at lead and then play out the 3-cost Sanji. In these matchups, it's kind of important to throw a Nami down just in case you can, I don't know, swing into a Bonney if they play out a Bonney this turn. But typically, I'm going to ignore their Searcher and just swing face, because the Searcher is like taxing them a Dawn every turn, and sure, they might be getting a card out of it as well, but they're going to drop those cards regardless because of the fact that I'm swinging pretty big at them. Here, they didn't even play it, so if they had it, that's fine. We'll swing 6 at lead, see if they have a 2K, just 2K checking them. Usually, Bonney has plenty of 2Ks, and they'll probably take, oh, they counter out with an Ace. Okay, I haven't seen too many lists run this Ace. I don't know if that's the 5-cost that rests a 5-cost character, but it's really good in Limb. I don't know if it's good in Bonney. Let me know in the comments if you guys have tried it out, but seems like an interesting tech. If that's the case, I don't know. I could be wrong here. If I were them, I mean, I would just ignore the Nami, to be quite honest, unless, of course, they have a forward on play. Yeah. Here, they could also just swing really big. Yeah, I mean, if they swing 8, we're taking it. We'll take it. We don't care. Here, we'll just swing lead because they're going to rest one of either the leader or the Sanji. We, once again, do not care. We're just going face, baby. Let's go. We'll swing with the Ace. I wish I had a Luffy, but we don't. Ace is just as good here. Another 6 at lead. Another way to check if they have 2Ks. They give us a Tashigi. Okay, that's fine. And here, I would imagine they probably have like a Cavendish. They could have a Smoker. They have plenty of different 5-costs that they could be dropping. I know Bonney's running nowadays like anywhere from 11 to 12 5-cost characters. So they usually don't miss out on the 5-cost turn because like, that's like one of their most important turns, arguably. Obviously, if they don't have anything to play on 5, it means they have a lot of big stuff, which could be very scary. They don't even... Okay, so they don't have a 5-drop play here. That's going to put us down to 0 next turn, which is really going to be difficult, but I think we can probably be fine. That Luffy's a great draw here. Wow. Let's swing 6 with... It doesn't matter what we swing with. All of them are hitting for 6 anyway, so let's swing 6 at lead. with the ace. They'll probably rest the leader, or yeah, Sanji's fine, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Here we take a risk of like Hody Jones. We always have to play around Hody Jones once we get to these turns. They counter out of it with a, was it 2-1Ks? Interesting. Okay, so they take the 7, and then we'll swing 7 again. If they have a Hody Jones, we can probably counter out of it with all the stuff we have in our hand. But keep in mind for the, ooh, that's actually a really good card. 10 cost Goldie Roger if we're able to play it down. This turn, if they play out a Hody Jones and rest like the Nami and rest the Dawn, we can still counter out. We should be fine. The following turn, what we can do is kind of make it where it's difficult for them to play a Hody Jones. They could go, or we could go 1 cost chopper, and leave like 2 or 3 Dawn open for like a rad beam, so that if they decide to rest the choppers, then they're not resting the Dawn. If they decide to rest the Dawn, then they're not resting the choppers. So we make it where it's a difficult decision for them if we can. 7 at lead, we'll just counter out of this one. And to be honest, like, okay, so when I'm playing against a Newgate, I think it makes sense to swing at the bodies. But they've ignored all of the bodies, and I think it's fine, actually, especially when I'm at 0 life. It's fine to ignore the bodies, especially the Sanji. They don't want to give me anything here. Okay, so I could have grabbed Mulgun. I probably should have in hindsight, because if they do play like a 8 cost kid this next turn, I could be in a little bit of trouble. I suppose the ace is fine to have for that reason, though. We'll swing 7. We'll put 1 on our leader, and then we could actually play out another Luffy as well. But I think we go with our game plan here. I think we stick with the 1 cost choppers. They rest the ace. That's fine. We'll swing 7 at lead with our leader. Swing 7 at lead with the Sanji. Might be smart to swing with the Sanji first in case they do have a 0 cost event to rest it. But it is what it is. We'll swing 7 here. See if they take it. If they want to go down to 0. If they go down to 0 right here, we could actually just like bypass the Rosinante and swing really heavy. But we're going to swing 7 at lead here. See if they give us any counter, or if they want to go down to 0. I hope that they go down to 0, because obviously I want to be able to play out my Roger and win that way, but I have a feeling they probably are going to play out the 8 cost kid this next turn, because they have a Rosie set up ready to go. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and play a chopper, and then leave all of this Dawn open, because of the fact that if they rest both of the choppers, that means that we have Dawn open for the rad beam. We could have played out the Sanji, but I don't think it really matters. I think Sanji at this point is fine in the hand as a 1K. So Hody Jones is no threat to us. We will take that. I assume that's a 10 cost. Oh, okay. It's not. So it is an 8 cost kid. We were right in our suspicions that they might have it. And I think what we do is we just play out the 7 cost ace. We will minus 3,000 to both of these. And I think we go ahead and just get our value out of this Luffy here by swinging 7 into 5, putting a rested Dawn onto the Newgate. And we could swing 7 with ace. We could swing 7 with lead. Depends on what they do here. But they've countered out a lot over the course of this game, especially the last turn. So it's going to be harder for them to defend this 8 cost kid, of course. So, and it looks like they might not have the counter for it. They just go ahead and block with the Rosie, which we'll see if they give us the other Rosie. If they just let this go, then that might mean that they don't have enough counter. We'll go 7 at lead, see if they take this or not. I feel like they should just take it, just see what you get, you know? Yeah, we'll pass from there. Here, this is the ordeal. Is if they have a Hody Jones, we have the 2 choppers, we have the 1 open for the rad beam, so they could rest a chopper, rest 1 for the rad beam, but then we have a chopper standing. It's going to be very difficult for them to break through this. Very, very difficult. This is why, like, how effective chopper is in this game. Very cheap blocker. The previous turn I could have probably played it more efficiently with my Dawn, but I was playing it like overly safe. But now in this scenario, it's pretty much game. Yeah, they didn't even have the Hody ready to go, which is fine for us. They could have played out the 10 drop, but I don't think they would have been able to survive at that point. We just swing with the 10 drop Goldie Roger for the game. I'm so glad that Newgate is like playable in some capacity. I really enjoyed this leader. I know that when he was back in his heyday, it was kind of annoying to deal with this guy, but now it's just kind of like fun to play. It's just like if I've been playing a match where I have to like think about what I'm doing with my leader constantly, and I want to play a game where I'm just like turning my brain off and just hitting face every turn, Newgate is perfect for that. It's one where your games go by fast, so win or lose, you're on to the next round, right? So that's the beauty of this deck, is that if you don't have a lot of time to invest in playing, then this deck just pretty much plays itself. Of course, there are some micro decisions towards the end game that you have to decide on, like how to counter out, but I think that overall it's a pretty straightforward deck. It goes unga bunga straight to the face, and who doesn't love playing deck styles like that? Anyways, let me know what you guys think about Newgate in the comments below. What do you guys think about the deck list? What would you include instead? As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.